I looked down because I'm on top of her, and I looked down and this girl's eyes was bleeding, right? And then I seen her hands had holes in them. So then she started screaming, stigmata, 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 stigmata. And I'm like, she's screaming, I'm screaming, you know, she scared me. Hello, you guys. Welcome to AMEND. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like the video. If you're listening to me on the podcast, make sure you favorite. Make sure you, if you don't favorite, make sure you follow the podcast for, I think as of right now, I'll try to do like 2 uploads a week. And to the channel, I'll do 2 uploads to the week. Now, one of them will be for both, which is the podcast. But this is the video form as well. So, on the last video, we talked about dreams. And it kind of left off on a big cliffhanger there. I was not expecting it to while I had to go while I was in the middle of telling my dream. And it was like, it was such a good cliffhanger, but it was not on purpose. So I'm coming back to finish up my stories. Now for this part 2, it'll be more about my personal dreams that I've had. But I do want to go back and reiterate a little bit of what dreams mean, because I did leave out a little bit. And as you've seen in the video, it was getting dark. And make sure you go check out part 1 too as well. So let's just jump straight into it so it won't take that long. The Hebrew word for dream is kalam. Kalam. Now, I might not be saying that right, but it's kalam and kalum. And there's 2 versions of it. First, you got the kalum or kalam, however you say it. First, you got that version, and it's a noun, I believe, right? But I think it represents like dreamer and dreamers, right? Like a plural type of form of it. But then you got the root word, which is kalam, which is the verb. So a dream is a verb, which means it's an action, which it kind of is. And it's kind of a noun too. It is. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting. It is both words, you know, just to point that out. And then in the last one, I went over the Hebrew breakdown of the letters, but I had forgot the mem. So kalam is spelled with the Hebrew letters Keth, Lamed, and Mem, right? And of course, some vowels in there. But Keth is a fence, an inner room, a chamber, to separate, to cut off from, and to protect. So in the Hebrew language, that means that all these letters are, these definitions of these letters are a reflection of what dreams are meant to be and what they're for. So they're a fence, you know what I'm saying? And a fence does and protects, right? It's a barrier. An inner room, which it is like a separate, like a vision that's outside of yourself, like a inner room. That's the best way to explain it. And then it says chamber, so it is that inner room, that chamber, to separate or cut off, right? And we seen that in one of the stories in the last video, where he used it to protect somebody and cut them off from. Now, you can cut a person off from sins, or you can cut a person off from righteousness, so to speak. So let's go to Lamed. And Lamed is a staff, right? The long thing that Moses was holding in the movie, that's a staff, like a cane. A cattle goad, to control. Prod, to urge forward. Yeah, because when they have staffs and they're around like the cattle, they will like urge them. You guide them with that stick, right? And go forward, okay? And then teach, learn, and tongue. So we know that these definitions are pertaining to dreams too. So let's check them out from that point of view. So a staff, which is used to guide, you know what I'm saying? So it's guiding you into a direction while you're sleeping, right? And depending on the message that you get, that message can be a good message. The message can be a bad message. Prod, urge forward, right? That's still the same thing. Go forward, go toward or forward, like we said, in the specific direction. And then they can be used as tools of teaching. You can learn from them. And when it comes to tongue, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys have, but if you have, let me know. Have you ever had a dream where people were speaking in different languages? And did you know what people were saying when you heard them speaking in different languages? That's interesting. That's never happened to me. If that's happened to you, please let me know, and I'll be interested to listen to what you have to say about that. And tongue. Now, as far as the Bible goes, I do know that tongue can have another definition too. And a different tongue can mean a different nation. So a different nation is just a person that's like we're America and you got people who are Chinese. That's China. That's a different nation, right? Black people, white people, Chinese, Asian, whatever. All those are different tongues, which are different nations, which are different people, which are different like cultures, right? So when it comes to tongue, I'm not really understanding what it means. So our next podcast should probably even be on the word tongue to get some clarity, just to keep following in the, as you learn, it'll all be in a flow, so to speak. So let's go to the next letter. We have Mem. Mem is water, chaos, to come from, and it had in parentheses, like water down a mighty stream. So, as pertaining to dreams, water. In the Hebrew, I do know a little bit about water. And water is speaking of the sun a lot of the times. And it's talking about that he is the water, right? And that water is the Ruach, which is the spirit. So, as pertaining to dreams, water would fit perfectly, because that dream state is in the spirit. That's I think it's a vision. The difference between vision and a dream is whether you're woke or whether you sleep, right? So well, the difference between being woke and being asleep is you enter that like spirit realm. So that really does make a lot of sense to me. Chaos. As far as dreams go, I've had a lot of dreams of chaos. So that fits into me. Not sure what he means, but it makes sense to me. So always just try to keep my eye out for a deeper meaning, even when I feel like I already know or have an idea of what it is. Because you don't want to just be, just close your mind off thinking that you know something and you really just had no idea. And then to come from. So to me, that and water kind of makes sense with each other, because to come from like the spirit, to come from the water. You know what I mean? Maybe dreams come from the water. That's what's being revealed here. Right? You could be like prodded into and you can be like urged forward into an inner room or a chamber to learn, to teach, to be protected. And this is coming from the water. right? Or the spirit. So, and I wanted to also tell you the definition of the word kalam. Kalam is a verb. We talked about that. It means to bind firmly, be in good liking, recover, to be healthy, strong, to restore health. We do know that, you know, when you sleep, your body does recover, makes you healthy again, and it does recover your health, restore your health. So that's nice to see that, because that's something that we already know. But here's an interesting word that kind of popped out to me as well. And the word was plump. In that definition, it said to causally to make plump, right? So when I thought about causally make plump, and plump to me is like you made something bigger, you made something fatter, right? So I went and looked at the definition of plump. So plump can be to set down heavily, right? And we know when you're dreaming, you get set down. Okay, like, and then the sentence is, she plumped her bag on the table. Second definition of plump, to set down heavily. She plumped herself down. You know, that's another form. Another form was to decide indefinitely in favor of. A sentence was, he offered a choice of drinks. He plumped for brandy. So that's another way you can use plump. I've never heard plump used in these different ways, but that's why you got to make sure you're looking up everything, because just when you think you know, you'll find out that you don't know anything. So, an abrupt plunge or heavy fall. That can be another definition of plump. And if you kind of think about it, those definitions kind of do relate to what the state of your body is when you are dreaming, right? So all of that kind of fits together. So I'm just giving you something that you can meditate on, keep thinking about, go look at it yourself, see what you think about it. Tell me in the comments what you guys are getting from this. If you're on a streaming service, come back to my YouTube channel at JasmineLatishea and write in the comments what conclusion you come to after hearing this. So let's jump right into my dreams. Now, the dream that I had left off last time when we were doing our podcast was the most scariest dream that I had. And to this day, I don't think nothing else can actually surpass this dream in scariness. And I've had just about everything happen to me or happen to others when it comes to my dreams. You know, my visions while I sleep, right? So, in this one where we left off last time, I was telling you I made that left turn and I came around the corner and I had just walked into my house, right? And I felt like, I don't know, it felt so real, this dream did. It felt like I was doing it. It felt like it was right then. Sometimes when I have dreams, I feel like I was there, but I feel like I wasn't there. You know what I mean? But this dream, I definitely felt like I was there. So I turned the corner in my house and I go left down the hallway. My bedroom is in the back and I'm walking towards the bedroom. So I get to my bedroom and it was this girl laying in my bed. I didn't know who it was. And I looked around and all my stuff, and I'm looking, I don't know, it's like I took note of everything that was around in my room, like more than what I usually would. So this girl was in my bed, so obviously my ex that I was with at that time must have been cheating with her. I'm thinking that's kind of like, that's what I was thinking in a dream. But mind you, this is not true at all. This is not true. And if you knew who we were talking about, then you would know like it was nowhere near true. But anyway, let's keep on going. She's in my bed. So the first thing I get to doing, I jump on top of her and get to fighting her, right? So while we're fighting, and mind you, I'm having this dream while I'm at work. while we're fighting, she gets to like making a strange noise. Ah! Like that, right? And I look down because I'm on top of her, and I look down and this girl's eyes was bleeding, right? And then I seen her hands had holes in them. So then she started screaming, stigmata, 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 stigmata. And I'm like, she's screaming, I'm screaming, you know, she scared me. I was so scared while I was having this dream. You know what I'm saying? So in real life, I'm at work. I had nodded off at work. So my co-worker had woke me up, right? And then she had, I forgot a part, the girl had holes like around her head, right? And they was just gushing out blood. Her eyes are red. The blood is just coming down her face. Now, I did not do this stuff to this girl. I didn't cause no injuries like that to that girl. It wasn't from me. And I was aware it wasn't from me. That's why she was scaring me so bad. And the way that she was screaming like possessed or something. So in real life, my co-worker woke me up. And she was like, girl, why are you saying that? And I'm like, what? She said, what are you dreaming about? And I tell her about the dream. And then she was like, do you know what stigmata means? And I was like, no, I don't. She was like, you never seen the movie? I was like, no, I ain't never wanted to see that movie for some reason. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, my coworker told me that stigmata was when a person has, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the word is for it. But when the same thing happens to them, that happened to the son, or what she called Jesus, right? So that right there, that really scared me so bad when she said that, because when I thought about it, the injuries that the girl had, she had holes in her hands. You know, her forehead had holes in it. They bleeding, her blood in her eyes and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was one of my scariest dreams. Can't say I know what it meant. I think that it's one of those dreams that I just, through life, because that happened to me when I was younger, but through life, I can never forget that dream. So, and it became a point in life where I started questioning whether the creator was even real or not. But that dream right there is something that I always, like, stuff that happened to me already, I always go back to it. Like, it always keep me coming back. It's like I could never run off from him, or not too far. Once I get ahead of myself, I've had all these things in my life that in the end, when it's all said and done, I can't deny. If that makes any sense to you. At the end of it, I will not be able to deny all this stuff that's happened to me. So in the last podcast, we talked about Cricket Land. And if you want to go check that out, make sure you go check that first video out. And then let me think of another dream that I had that sticks with me. I'll tell you guys one more. So I had this dream where I'm like in a shopping center, right? And all of a sudden, it seems like it's a nice day, like 75 degrees. You know how you just have a nice day outside and everything's cool, nothing's wrong. That's the feeling that this dream gave me. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, turned into chaos. The sky starts turning different colors and all this stuff. And it starts raining very, very, very hard. And it was like, not like regular rain, but end of the world type of rain. Everybody was panicking. Everybody running here, running there. We all are aware that something is going on. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get baptized. I ain't been baptized yet. So I'm panicking, but I'm panicking because I haven't completed all the steps that it takes for me to be righteous, right? So while everybody else is running here and there, I'm trying to find somebody to baptize me, right? So these guys with their faces covered, everybody wearing black robes and stuff, and they told me they would baptize me. So we went to the corner, like to the corner of the street. And you know how when it rains and a lot of water just kind of collects in an area or a little pocket right there beside the corner? So I laid down in that and they baptized me. And when we were done, they all pulled off like their covers over their head. And all of them were black. And still to this day, I was so shocked because I knew that they were like from above. You know what I mean? They kind of like, they never really even spoke. It's like they did this for me. They never even really spoke. And when they all came up out of their robes, all of them were black. And I was so shocked to see it. And after they did this, right, they helped me get baptized. We stand up, and then everything went back to the way it was, right? And in this point in time, here's the conclusion I came to it. At this point in time in my life, if you're the type of person that watch conspiracy stuff, Bible stuff a lot, I mean, if you heard Revelations, that stuff can be scary to you, right? It's some people on YouTube who I consider they went off the deep end because you're constantly, and some conspiracy theorists, they need breaks. You need breaks because you just constantly watching this sick stuff all day. Sick stuff entering your spirit. You sick, scary. And the bad part is that it might be true, but it's leading you down the wrong path because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing the right thing and getting away from the bad thing. But yet, some people, they just dive in and they like get stuck in it. Like some people get stuck in, what is that? They call it the Mandela effect. Some people cannot leave that alone. And the more Mandela effects you might start seeing because that's what you expect to see and that's what you want to see. So anyway, the conclusion I came to about that dream was somehow it kind of flowed into me that you might think that you know what time it is, but you don't know what I'm doing. It's almost kind of like it was like putting me in my place because I was so worried about whether it was the end of the world, what's going to happen. And I will say that, that's how I was thinking a lot in real life. But that's what that dream kind of conveyed to me. Like when everything cleared up, you don't know what I'm doing. You don't know. So stop. And I don't know how, but later on during that day is when it kind of flowed in to me about what that dream was saying to me. I would have thought it was more of, and I mean, it could be. Nobody is interpreting dreams down here, so we really don't know what our dreams mean. But that's one that I feel like that's what that dream meant. And then I've had a lot of dreams where my sister will get eaten by big animals. Um, like one dream, we were inside. We weren't inside anything. We were like on top of this like floating wood plank thing, right? And we had these sticks, and we were like in this muddy like water, right? So she got smart with my mom. She got smart with my mom, I think. Yeah, she did. And my mom told her, don't go inside the mud. So she didn't listen. That's when she got smart. She didn't listen. So she went inside the mud anyway. So when she got inside the mud, she started struggling because it's mud. It was like quicksand. So I reached out to kind of like pull her back onto it. And when I go to pull her, this hippopotamus raised up, and he opened it. That was like, to me, that was like the first time I had seen a hippopotamus was in my dream. Literally in my dream was the first time that, I mean, I knew what they looked like, but that's when I paid attention to what they look like. I had to go look at pictures, and I went and looked at videos after I had this dream to see if that's how they really looked. And it was how that thing opened his mouth, and he just took her and just, blah, and she just screaming and crying. I woke up. I'm like, wow, that is crazy. I tell her, you need to calm down. If mama tell you something, just walk away, because you keep getting eaten by animals in my dream. And it's only if my mom tell her something and she don't listen, or she disobedient or something, that's the only way that she gets eaten in a dream. Let me think of another dream I've had. Those three were for right now are probably my top 3 dreams. I started having a lot of dreams too when I moved up here to Wisconsin. I started having a lot of nightmares. One of the first nightmares I had when I moved here before I start learning and educating myself properly, I started having dreams of, I guess it kind of was the end of the world, or I still don't know what to call it, but I would see men on top of houses, men with guns who were Russian. Now, I don't know how I knew they were Russian, but I knew they would be Russian, and they would stand on top of the housetops up here. And, and they had gave me, I remember one time it was a specific date, and it was like the 18th, Juneteenth or something, and that's actually a day that they have up here, and which I wasn't familiar with it because we don't have it back home. So, and on that day they had those, and it had sent me back because it was, you know, those militant like police that was out there. And in Wisconsin, before, you know, it takes you some time to see it, but their polices are way more advanced than what I'm used to. Where I'm from, the police don't ride around on horses. The police are not in armor trucks, so they're a little bit more militarized than what I'm used to coming back from home. So in my dream, that's what I was seeing, them being everywhere, except they weren't American. They were Russian. And I've had a few of these dreams where actually people of other nations would come and take over the city, right? And start murdering. But I think I should end it here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jasmine with AMEND Podcast, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you subscribe, like, watch, favorite, follow. Okay, have a good one.